And away we go. Alright then, neither me nor Eric/Risk11 have sent anything in the group chat since the last time I recorded a podcast episode. However, I have sent something onto the Project Bits team chat on Discord, where there's me, Eric, Shadow Miner, there's Froyo, little goofball he is, Ace Banster, Sam, and Skip. I haven't heard much from Skip about the project in like 4 years. Goodness me, what a long time this has been. Anyway, I've sent something into the Project Bits team group chat on Discord, and firstly, the text within that Instagram reel I've sent to the Project Bits team group chat. The text that's in that video, it reads Gatekept method to scale your app to 70,000 users. What is this Gatekept method to scale your apps to 70,000 users? We shall play the audio right now.
Yo, so apparently app founders have found a method to start scaling their apps to like 70,000 users within the first month. And this isn't from just like influencer marketing. This isn't from posting the videos themselves. Like this guy right here that got like $10,000 in 1 week. He just did something that a lot of app founders are not doing. He pretty much ran his app through a UGC campaign using a website like Snapshift. And these creators actually know exactly how to convert users into your app. From the content that they're making. And just like that, they got so many users and so many downloads. And I want to gatekeep this method. So if you're an app founder, you might want to check this out before everyone hops on it.
You know what? Not bad, not bad. The reason I even sent that to the Project Bits team chat on Discord is because I'm wondering if Shadowminer, in the event that he's going to do anything with in terms of marketing or promoting any of the projects within the long-term roadmap for Zygomatic Studios, that could be useful for Shadowminer if he ever wants to take that on board. So Froyo has responded. He not directly to the video. Froyo have sent something onto the group chat for Project Bits. He replied with, "Are we still working on the project?" And to which Shadowminer himself reacted with 100 emoji. And then the moment I saw Froyo's message, I immediately replied yes. Nothing else. I replied yes. I don't know why it has to be made. However, we are still me, Shadowminer, and Eric are still committed to the project, as well as Froyo. I guess it's been a very long road the last 4 years of doing this project. Well, nearly 4 years. It's actually close to 5 years that we've been doing this. It's going to be quite interesting how things turn out for the rest of us. It's going to be something. It certainly will be. Thoroughly Merly. What kind of gobbledygook am I on about? Nonetheless, again, long road, lots of obstacles along the way. It's certainly paid off nonetheless, and we've learned something along the way. Never trust strangers with millions of dollars, even if it will benefit you. Don't think it's all uphill from there. You never know what nasty surprises will come your way. I'm just saying, yeah, you have to be prepared. And that's pretty much in terms of group chat activities that I would share with the viewers the listeners of these episodes of the podcast. So with that being said, of something else I have to mention. I did say this on another podcast. As I'm recording this, I'm planning on trimming down how long these episodes are. So that way, I prepare myself to have multiple episodes in the backlog, and also just in case, as it's getting closer to the time of that time of the year where me and my family go to Brazil to meet my relatives, I've got to prepare myself in terms of not just the episodes, but also visiting all of my relatives that want to see me. You never know. When you visit relatives, you're gonna be there for the whole day. Maybe more than a whole day. You could arrive early in the morning, and it won't be until very, very late at night when you go home and settle down, you have lunch and tea / dinner wherever at the place where you're visiting your relatives. And also another reason is that by shortening these episodes down, I can still cover recent events, and yeah, it gives me more reason to record multiple episodes, an additional backlog just in case whatever happens, there's a technical difficulty. There's at least 1 week I was not able to record any episodes because I was so busy visiting my relatives all over Brazil. So yeah, and I love my relatives. I love my family. So I will not get in the way of that. It gives me all the more reason to balance my books and ensure that I dedicate my time to what is most important. So yeah, with that all being said, let's get right into the news. Canada's deficit widens to 25.5 billion Canadian dollars in 2025-26. On Friday, the Finance Department reported Ottawa posted a 25.5 billion Canadian dollar deficit for the 11-month period ending in February, suggesting the final deficit could be smaller than originally projected. Revenue totaled 453.2 billion Canadian dollars for the 11-month period, rising 0.8%, while program expenses reached 424.9 billion Canadian dollars, marking a 2.1% increase over the same period in 2025. February saw Ottawa run a 5.7 billion Canadian dollar surplus, down from 7.6 billion Canadian dollars the prior year, with the 11-month cumulative deficit of 0.5 billion Canadian dollar comparing to 19.3 billion Canadian dollars last year. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne will release a spring economic statement on Tuesday, as private sector economists anticipate Ottawa will show an improved bottom line versus the original budget. Typically, the government posts large one-month deficits in March, but even with a similar result, Ottawa remains well within its budgeted 78.3 billion Canadian dollar deficit forecast for the 2025-26 fiscal year. Not bad, not bad. Now, I'm not sure if Frisk was on here, I'm not sure what he would think of this. I will say is any progress in reducing deficits, debt, improving on providing additional headroom for government budgets, I'm all for it. And I'll give Canada somewhat credit for this. Now, I know Risk wouldn't be so on board with Mark Carney. I know you wouldn't. Actually, I don't have anything else to add. Congratulations to Mark Carney and his government in reducing that deficit for the current budget, or whatever budget is put in place. I wonder if Keir Starmer would take notes from Carney and how he can improve on his works for the UK. I know Canada and the UK have strong relations. I doubt there'll be any negotiations, diplomatic missions, or any trade talks between Canada and the UK. If it does happen, then hooray, we're strengthening the Commonwealth. No, but in all seriousness, it's great what Canada's going through right now and what they're doing. It's not all rainbows and sunshines yet. They've still got a long way to go. It is a start. I'll give them that. It is a good start, I would say. And whatever extra money they have laying about, hopefully that's invested wisely. In this day and age, I doubt anything is invested wisely these days. However, one can hope that that is the case. Hopefully. Top Iranian diplomat arrives back in Pakistan after direct talks cancelled. On Sunday, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi returned to Islamabad after visiting Oman, resuming Pakistan-led mediation efforts to revive stalled US-Iran negotiations before traveling to Moscow. President Donald Trump cancelled his envoy's planned Pakistan on Saturday, citing lack of progress. Iran submitted a revised proposal within 10 minutes of the cancellation. Pakistan continues facilitating indirect contact as key disputes persist, including Iran's demand to lift the US blockade of ports and its 440 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity. Arakchi described his regional consultations as very fruitful, but expressed skepticism about Washington's commitment, stating, "Have yet to see if the US is truly serious about diplomacy." The Strait of Hormuz standoff, through which 1/5 of the world's oil flow continues pressing global markets as US Treasury sanctions target 18 Iranian Shadow Fleet vessels. Is anything going to be done about this? Are these talks between US and Iran getting anywhere? And if there are, what can we see now that is the case? And I know I don't usually talk about Polymarket all that often, nor will I continue to do so, unless anything significant happens with Polymarket and/or Kalshi. And I know whatever rates or percentages on Polymarket and/or Kalshi would change drastically, if ever, since the last time I last recall about chances of negotiations between the US and Iran coming to a agreement. Last time I checked, roughly September this year is when any negotiations between the US and Iran is agreed upon, and whatever war is going on in Iran comes to an end. That is like a couple of weeks ago, last time I checked on Polymarket about anything related to whatever's going on in Iran. Now, I know something this year will have to be negotiated and will be done. Until then, it's just a game of cat and mouse. The waiting game. Eventually, someone is going to crack. Pressures are going to be pressed. And a third thing. What's the third thing? Who freaking knows? Well, that's what I know. For now. Appears deliberately misleading. 24. What? What is this? This is very strange. That's a very strange headline to read. Like what? What is it? Okay. Okay. Neither the FRP nor the Conservative Party are gracious in describing the government's statistical antics and now including renovations in its target for new housing. The government has now made it clear that they will also include renovations of existing housing stock when measuring how far they are from the goal of 100 by 2030. This was new for the housing manufacturers and the Forecast Centre, as E24 reported on Thursday. It appears deliberately misleading, says Conservative Party Deputy Leader Ola Sveneby. 130,000 new homes are repeated over and over again. Then you dig a little deeper, and it turns out that there are 130,000 starts, and now it turns out that there are 130,000 starts including old buildings. Then it appears as a rhetorical move to show action more than it will actually solve the problem. Were you aware that they were also planning on rebuilding? No, I wasn't. I knew it was a construction permit, but I wasn't aware that it also applied to reconstruction. Redevelopment is new housing that comes about through the conversion of other buildings, such as warehouses or large detached houses. The Ministry of Local Government has told E24 that they have been open about the fact that new homes, in their terminology, also includes renovations. They refer to a news release on their own website about the Architecture Prize, where this is mentioned further down in the article from January this year. You could say that you have been open about this, but when the Forecast Centre and all the housing experts have not gotten It's either 130,000 homes appear more like a political stunt than as an actionable measure, says Zveneby. He emphasized that no one can live in a construction permit. Zveneby highlights the increased construction costs according to Statistics Norway. Material costs have increased by 64% since 2019. Well, I was going to say that this is in Norway where this story's been covered. Statistics Norway is now a giveaway where this is taking place. You know, I'm not surprised about how people define new stuff, new homes being built. Are these new homes being built, or are you counting homes that do exist, yet they're in the process of renovation? Either way, what I will say is, so long as there's new homes that have been completed in its construction or renovation that people in Norway can live in, that's all that matters to me. It doesn't matter if these homes are in the process of being built, or these homes do exist, yet they're in the process of renovation in line with current regulation and standards for gas, electricity, energy consumption, and other factors that I can't think of right now in a quick-fire response. So long as there's homes that are fit for purpose, yet most importantly, these homes are ready to be used for living, then fair enough. That's all that matters. If these homes are not ready to be lived in, then people are going to be waiting until they can get their homes. Well, if they're wanting to buy a home, living with their parents, or people who already have homes for themselves. Yet they're wanting to find a new home to facilitate the growth of their families. Or maybe someone at work has gotten a promotion recently and believes that more space in their home is needed to facilitate with their new promotion at work. I'm just listing out possible reasons why people would even get a new home to begin with. Or get a home that does exist that has been renovated. So, I will end off with this. Yeah, reading all of that, I would say, yeah, that is quite misleading. You do have to specify if you're counting homes that are in the process of being built, like these homes don't exist yet. However, once construction is complete, then that counts as a new home. Or you're counting homes that do exist, yet they're in the process of renovation, that's to be in line with regulations and standards in the local area in which these existing homes are being renovated in. Either way, I'd say if there's enough homes in a nation to facilitate existing population figures, then that's all that matters to me. So long as there are enough homes, preferably at an affordable rate, and an affordable price, which then people can move in right away, unpack all their stuff, and then, yeah, they're settled down in whatever community people in Norway are in, then that's all is fine and dandy, I guess. So yeah, one last thing. And I know not all politicians are going to do this. They're not going to specify what they're counting as new homes or not, or what they're counting in their figures when making promises to their constituents. It is important that you do specify the figures, the entities, and the number of people proportionate to the said promises that these politicians are making. Bartek retires with illness in Madrid Open third round. On Saturday, Iga Swiatek retired from her Madrid Open match against American Ann Lee due to an unspecified gastrointestinal illness, leaving the court in tears. Swiatek requested a medical timeout while trailing 2-0 in the deciding set, but ended proceedings after Lee held serve to take a 3-0 lead. The 2024 Madrid champion, Swiatek, had looked impressive earlier in the tournament, defeating Ukrainian star Daria Snager 6-1, 6-2, on Thursday. With the walkover win, Lee advances to the round of 16 of the WTA 1000 tournament, where she will face Canadian 24th seed Leila Fernandez. 9th seeded Mira Andreeva overcame Dalma Galfi, while defending champion Casper Ruud raced into the third round with a 65-minute victory over Jaume Munar. Poor Swiatek. It's very unfortunate that, due to a medical reason, she could not continue in her path in the tournament that she's in. Unfortunately, had to retire because of it. That's the saddest part. Having a medical issue in the middle of a game is one thing, yet to have that said medical issue be the reason you have to retire early, that's very unfortunate. Well, hopefully Swiatek had a very good career. Not that I would know. I don't. She did very well to be a champion, to become the 2024 Madrid champion, and for all the other contestants in this competition, hopefully they also do very well in their own respective rights. A growing amateur choir brings joy and community to hundreds in Serbia. An amateur pop choir that started with a couple dozen singers in a small Serbian town has found unexpected success across the country. Its motto? Anyone can sing. While community choirs are common in other countries, they are relatively rare in Serbia. The no-stress and fun approach has attracted hundreds of people, mostly women of all ages. You know, that kind of reminds me of something. A couple of weeks ago, I was just singing to one of the Instagram audios I saved a while back, and this is kind of important. That will lead to what's to next. After doing the sing song to one of the Instagram audios that I saved a while ago, somehow, I was just going through social media and whatnot, and I came across a community choir project that just kind of started quite recently. I thought, you know what, I might as well do something besides recording these episodes and go out in the open that doesn't involve filming or acting stuff in my pathway to the world stage. So I signed up for it. And I remember showing up to this newly formed choir, and the guy that's organizing it mostly was a guy from Nigeria, who is also a solicitor. Quite impressive. A choir organizer, a musician, and a lawyer. Now the musician part. When I came across this WhatsApp group chat for this new choir that I just joined, the surname of that guy that was mostly organizing it from the start, his surname looked very familiar. So I actually looked back through my podcast recordings and my Calendly for podcast recording sessions, and turns out the guy that was organizing this new choir that I just joined is also the same guy that appeared on my podcast nearly 3 years ago. And it's all coming back in full circle. It's such a small world out there. Yet, while I was at this choir that this guy from Nigeria organized, whilst he does have ambitious goals in the next few years, he's also realistic as well. I'll give him that. He said, don't run before you can walk. So start small and then gradually build up from there. I respect that. I respect him for that. And looking at the goals that this guy wants to do for this choir that he set up, that I just joined, it's looking like it's really coming up from there. There is potential. And I also see potential in that as well. Now, how does this relate to the story about this amateur choir in Serbia? Well, I just mentioned it. This choir I just joined a couple of weeks ago, that's run by this guy that appeared on one of my podcast episodes a couple of years ago, is exactly one of these choirs that's in this headline on Ground News that I'm reading in Serbia. What started out as a small choir of a couple of people, it grown to hundreds, and now news coverage about it. And that I think this is what this guy is wanting to do with this choir that he set up. And the guy in question I'm talking about, by the way, is Temi TVD, or Temix, when I interviewed him on my podcast a while ago. One thing I don't get is, how come I never published that episode where I brought on Temi 3 years ago? Oh, that's just me. I still have that recording of Temi back when he was a student for law, a master's student for law at Manchester Metropolitan University, which is also where I was at that time as a first year bachelor's student. And coincidentally, I had talked to Temi about this podcast that I'm running, which also he was on. He just doesn't, I'm not sure he fully remembers it. There may come a point actually quite soon where I might interview people that in this community choir that I just joined quite recently. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be quite interesting. So anyway, back to the story about the amateur choir that bringing joy and community to hundreds in Serbia. All the best to this Serbian choir. Hopefully much more is to come from this. And there's more unity amongst community and local people, no matter where they are. Yes, absolutely. And that is it for the episode.